BowtiePlus. Bowtie analysis is today's fastest growing risk assessment technique. It is used by a wide range of industries, including those with the potential for major accidents, environmental effects, and financial impacts. However, is this only half the solution? Why? Well, Bowtie diagrams are static images and only show the ideal situation, i.e. when all of the barriers are in place and exposure to risk is at its lowest. In reality, not all of the barriers will be 100% in place all of the time. This depletion increases exposure to risk. The greater the depletion, the greater the exposure. If you were running an operational plant, managing a business or a major project, wouldn't you want to know when risk is increasing so that you can take action? So what is the other half of the solution? The answer is to use dynamic bow ties, displaying live information on the current status of your threats and barriers. A system that displays in real time, using a simple traffic light approach, which threats and barriers are depleted and where risk has increased. A system that warns you of an increase in risk and, in light of this information, help you to make informed decisions. BowtiePlus is that system. The way that BowtiePlus works is quite simple. It recreates bow ties in a stylized form from data imported from bow ties created elsewhere in other software or internally using its own module. The traffic lights on the barriers are then changed according to their status by talking to the computer-based maintenance management system for the hard barriers or the inbuilt task management system in BowtiePlus for the soft barriers. So let's have a closer look at BowtiePlus itself. Here is the home page, which has a number of icons on, which allows you to move around from dashboards to bow ties to barriers. And there's also as you can see, a nav bar at the top with basically the same information, but a couple of extra bits. So we've got admin, log out, etc. You can also access the four main modules of BowtiePlus here: task management, document management, BowtiePlus itself, and organisational management. This is the BowtiePlus module, and I'm going to show you some of the functions and features. Here we have a list of all of the bow ties that are in the system, and we're going to look in particular at structural 1. I'm going to use this to show you the data that's presented on the left hand side. So for T1 is just the title, but if we look at a barrier, you'll see that there's a lot more information presented. And if we go across and look at PRO 99, which we're going to look at quite a bit, you'll see it's very important because it's actually on 5 different bow ties. So if there's a problem with that, or it goes red, it means that 5 bow ties are affected. We also present information about barriers in a list form by threat line or consequence line. This data is exactly the same as the information that's presented on the left hand side of the screen, but in a tabular, more easy to read form. We also present barrier information using a heat map. So this one, which is a barrier that's on this bow tie 3 times, once here, here and here. So that is also a very important barrier. And this gives you at a glance information about the numbers of bow ties that are on barriers. There are also bow tie documents, but I'll show you that later. So if we go back to PRO 99 and have a look at the extra information that's available with regards to that barrier. Again, you can get a heat map which shows those 5 bow ties that it's on, and 2 of those are actually red, which means that they have a red barrier on them. You can also look at the current barrier tasks that are outstanding in the task management system, and we can look at barrier documents. And if we click here, this will pull up the document that it's referred to, or in this case, it's actually the Health and Safety Executive's website. Okay, so we've looked at bow ties very briefly. Let's have a look at barriers. The barriers listed here are all of the barriers on all of the bow ties, as opposed to what I've just shown you under bow ties, which was all of the barriers for one bow tie. The information displayed here is the same as what comes up normally on the left hand side panel, except for the number of times that a barrier appears on a bow tie. So you can see here that that barrier is actually on 2 bow ties. It's twice on structural 1 and once on MAH4. This multiple barriers on multiple bow ties is very important, as I said earlier, because if that one barrier goes down, then 5 bow ties are affected. So let's have a look at admin now. Admin is very, very important because it contains all of the components that you need to make a bow tie, or if you're going to import one from somewhere else, you need to be able to put that data somewhere. You can create bow ties from templates, or you can create bow ties from scratch, which is exactly the first thing that you're asked when you're going to create a new bow tie. Are you going to do it from a template or from scratch? You then go on to complete a whole bunch of other information. What we have here is all the bow ties that are in the system, showing whether they're approved or not and what their editing status is. So if we look at structural number 4, we can see that that's actually been revised 5 times before. So if we want to go and edit again, we can click on here. So you can then add a threat or a consequence. It lists all of your threat lines and the barriers, and allows you to make changes to each of those by clicking on the right hand side of the mouse. And then once you've actually made your changes, you need to submit it for approval, at which time it will then get updated, or maybe even under certain circumstances it will be deleted. So as I said, these components are very important. These are the building blocks of bow ties. Without them, you can't really receive data or create new bow ties. So let's go and have a look at one of the other modules now. We've been looking in BowtiePlus, but let's look at the Barrier Task Management module. This is very important, particularly when the system is not connected up to a maintenance management system which would automatically update the system on hard barriers. This task management module can manage both hard and soft barriers, whatever they are. You can see that this one is red, or the red ones are red because they're overdue, and each task can be made a recurring, and that's what the symbol shows there. So if we look at the PRO 99, one we looked at before, you get the full details associated with the barrier, and then you get other details that are associated with the task. I'm not clicking on these for efficiency, though I think it's very important to have a look at the task history so you can see when it was assigned, whether it was accepted and closed out. Also, you can show the recurring history of this. So over a 2-year period, you can see if it's done every 3 months as it should be. If you want to create a new task, it's very simple. You just click on the button, fill in the form, save it, and then close the window. There are other features. So we've looked at progress. Well, we can look at progress, planned, completed, and statistics associated with tasks. Moving on to the next module, which is about document management. This manages the links to the documents that are shown either attached to a barrier or a bow tie, and it can show you where right across each location that the bow tie is applicable to in type, area and system. And by clicking on here, it will allow you to go and open up the document. If you remember, we opened up the one with the HSE website. There's an admin function associated with this as well, so that you can make changes to the document management module. You can add areas, systems, types, classifications, and different types of links, whether they're to a website or to a document or whatever. The other module we're going to look at is the organisation management. This is really about people that are referred to in the system. This is the task management system, so that we need to know who's assigning tasks, who's doing them, what their role is, where they're based, and what departments that they work in. This also supports logging in and logging out of the system. So we've been pretty much through the system now, but I just wanted to come back to BowtiePlus to show you the dashboard and statistics. Here we have, we can, in the blue box in the top left hand corner there, shows the status of all of the bow ties, the bow tie threats, the bow tie consequences, and the barriers associated with all bow ties. If we go back to and look at bow ties, we can see that this lists all of the bow ties in the system, and you can see the percentage that they're operational. But if we click on our bow tie structure 1, we can see all of the threats, and this threat line here, T4 corrosion, you can see that all of the barriers are red, which is something that is most undesirable. Then if we look at the bow tie threats, which is another view, and we scroll down to our complete red line, structural 1, we can click on here, and this will show us exactly which barriers are affected. So if we now look at barrier role statistics, this is quite interesting because these are all the owners of the barriers, and it helps to manage who gets what and who looks after what, and maybe even identify where some barriers which are severely impaired. So you can see here, this one, the chemical supervisor owns 4 barriers that are red, 1 that's green and 1 that's grey. That means he's not doing too well there, and it may be that we need to have a discussion with him to see what the problem is. This is really interesting from an analytical point of view. So this is looking at the history statistics of all bow ties and what their history is. So, and this is over a period of time. So you can see that if I just click here, this will give us the status of all bow ties at the 26th of February this year. So we've got the list of bow ties, we scroll down and there's our structural one, still with its problems. So having selected that, we can scroll further down and look at the individual threats. So as we go down, we can see the status at that moment in time, and there's our 3 there that are still red, so they've been red for some time. And then if we select corrosion, we can go down in more detail and see T4 corrosion, and you can see exactly what's been going on over that period. And because all 3 of them are out, then obviously all of the barriers are red. But earlier on this year that they weren't, and so it gives you a good insight into what's happening and how long something has been going on. And then if you want to take it into any much more detail, you can look at the click on the actual barrier itself, which again gives you the barrier status in history, which is percentage per day. So it even goes down to, so if that barrier was down 50% for a day on that time, it would tell you that. So it really goes right down to micro level. If we look up here again and just go back to a period last year of what's that? That's looks like in June. We had a peak here, a nasty spike. That could have been the cause of a major event, or was caused by a near miss that actually took place. So this information is really important. The main aims of BowtiePlus are to provide you with critical information not currently available, prevent major accident hazards, environmental effects and financial impacts from becoming a reality, provide vital information on the status of your risk management controls and mitigations, allow you to make informed decisions based on real-time information, avoid increasing risk exposure still further on already exposed tasks and activities, protect your people, the environment and your investment. There is no other product currently available like BowtiePlus. To find out more about BowtiePlus, please visit our website. If you would like a full demonstration, please contact us at the below. Thank you for your time.